Hello, Moustafa. After reading the second chapter of your book last night, I felt urged to make this video for you. Because all our correspondence has been going through your friend Ellen, and we haven't spoken directly. And I'm afraid that you might have this threshold to do so, either through language or whatever. But I sincerely felt the need to show you my face and to talk to you directly. First of all, when I read your first chapter, you grabbed me. And with the second chapter, there still needs a lot of work, but I sense in you this storyteller. You have a story to tell. Only the problem with storytellers is that I noticed over the years, while working with several authors, is that people who like to tell stories or are very good at telling stories have difficulty translating their story to paper. Writing and talking are two different things. And it takes a different kind of approach. Whereas you tell a story, you can go on and on and on, and your voice guides you through the sentences. And you make natural pauses where you say, this isn't it. You can build tension with your voice. You can put so much more emotion in it. When you put it on paper, you have to use the words and the sentences to create that natural pauses, to create the emphasis, to create the build-up. It takes a different kind of approach. And that is, on that side, you need still to do some work. But I sincerely hope that you do put in that effort to make your story better. Do so first in the language that you feel the most comfortable at. And you say, this is the story when I write in this language, I feel secure. I feel confident. I know what I'm saying. Start improving your story in that language. And when I say improving, is that you need to keep in mind the next few things. You need to, I get my head is going. First of all, pay attention to the length of the sentences. Yeah, storytelling, you keep going on and on and on and on. But when you write it, you have to break up sentences, make a point, and then build a bridge and go to the next sentence. And when storytelling, you can bring up this and bring up that, and it feels natural. When you write it and people have to read it, it sometimes gets confusing. So you really have to, instead of starting telling your story, you have to write your story as in, what does the reader need to know? If I was the one who was reading this book, do I know enough now to get the story? Am I telling enough to take this person with me on that journey? Am I sharing enough emotions, or am I keeping it more on an intellectual level? And I can sense in the way you write a certain points and certain elements in your book, I can see you're a very intelligent person. You know your stuff. But writing about this, especially probably these first few chapters, I mean, that's been a tough time. And when you have to write a true story, a true base story, then those pages, those chapters can get really emotionally for you. And that's okay. Let those emotions come. Don't avoid them. If you have to cry, please cry. If you feel angry again, allow that anger to be there and to get out of you. If you feel exhausted, feel the exhaustion and admit how dreadful it has been for you in that stage. That's okay. Heal yourself on that level. It's very important. But the reader needs to know more details, especially in the second chapter. You go too quickly. You can really bring it on in those chapters. How did you feel? What did you see in the others? And go even further on that chapter. You don't have to rush this chapter. It can take 2 chapters, to say this part of the story. Start really telling the story to someone else. Write it about that. And what do you need to say, and what is relevant for you, and what is relevant for the reader? Because there's some stuff in it that was your part, but it doesn't need to be in the story. You really need to get a difference. Okay, what was my story, and what is the story I need to tell? What is the story that has to be told? Those are 2 different things. So sometimes you might think, well, actually, this and this happened, but is it relevant for the reader? Those are really questions that can sharpen your mind in order to improve your book, because I want to read the story when it's finished and when it's well done, because you have a talent, you have a gift, but you need to sharpen this gift. You don't just become a writer. No, not everyone. Most of us don't just become a writer overnight. When I wrote my personal story, I started writing it once, and then I started, rereading, improving this. Oh my God, I forgot to tell this one. I put it in. Oh my God, I'm sharing this, but that is not relevant for the reader. That was my part. Or sometimes you feel like, um, this is getting too personal. Does it have to be there, or can I skip it? You can choose your ways, and you can make it either completely true story, or you can say it's a novel based on a true story. Those are 2 options. I hope you get the difference. If not, please contact me, because I've been asking for it, and all the context has been gone through someone else. Get a translator, improve yourself. But first, make sure you do the story in your own language. And then there are those simple issues like in grammar, like where you need to start a new paragraph. If you change a scene, you can leave, you had a point where you really shifted in scenes, you can leave an empty line, for instance, so that you really start a new block of text. A new scene can also mean that you have to do a new chapter. If you make really a shift, from the story to get to the train station, that is chapter one of the chapters. And when you're on the train, that is the next chapter. So you can look at those natural phases where you can say, oh, maybe this is a new chapter for my book. And don't worry if your story gets too large. You better start telling first everything you want to do and make your story all the way compelling, because now it gets blurry here and then. And then I see this excellence in the way you write again, and then it fades. But you need to get more consistent in your level of writing. But the confusion, the spaces where it gets, I think it's less appealing, is because the sentences are too long and you want to say way too much in way too few words. Elaborate, 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 elaborate. Make it bigger. When the people start reading a book, I've got to pick another book at the site. They take a time. If people buy a book, they say, this I want to read. They take out hours and hours and hours and hours to read your story. So don't feel pressure to make it short, even if you have the idea your story is long. But at one point, you can start first making your book okay, in a language that suits you. And then you reread it, and don't worry if it takes you all year to make it better and better. This story doesn't fade away. It keeps, this is a topic that is on the top of mind every day. It doesn't go away. So you can take all year to make this perfect. And when you do so, for instance, in your own language, your native language, I forgot which one it was, but never mind. When it's in your native language, and then you translate it to English. Yes. And the problem is with your native language and with my native language, Dutch, is that when for all those translation options you have out there, like Google Translate, Word, I have ChatGPT, our languages are not the most common ones. So the quality is less. Well, maybe with your language, it might be a different kind of thing, but Dutch is a minority language worldwide. So they don't put much effort in improving it. So there are a lot of errors in the translation from English to Dutch, even on the grammar sense. They put in dots and points where it shouldn't be. So first start with your thing in your native language or with English. If you feel comfortable enough in English, start writing in English. And what you need to get finished by the end of the year, this is what I feel, is that you have an English version. Yeah, so start with your native language or Italian if you're comfortable with that, and then translate it to English. If that's not, you're really good in language, because I heard you were translating it, but focus on the end results should be in English. Don't waste your time on Dutch, please. Please don't. Leave that to a publishing company that will publish your book in Dutch. Focus on English, promote your book in English. You can do that through Amazon. You don't need to have a publisher like me. I might consider it later on if you're finished to publish it. But I'm one who feels what your book needs. So you have two options. Amazon, you can do everything for free. But please, please, please work first on a good result. But in order to make the English version good, you need to work on the basic version first. I said also about grammar rules. There is this, if you write in your book and you say words like someone speaks them, you need to paragraph them, right? But the point at the end of the sentence needs to be within the paragraphs. There is this this rule, in Dutch it's called elder. First, you need to do the, don't know the words in English. I needed to look that up. The points, or the point at the end of sentence. First, you need to do that. Then you make the quote. And depending on where you publish or who you publish, I always do a single quote, others do double quote, but those are the rules. Yeah, that was the quote I was trying to think. So first, you do so that was one advice for you. And I see that you sometimes are still speaking, but you don't use those brackets around this text. And when you have a shift in persons, if you want to do but you have to make up your mind, because sometimes you're using those brackets, and at other points you're just telling the story. So make up your mind. Either you choose to do it in conversation the whole time, most of the time, or you just make the sentence. And then I said to them this and this and this to make up their mind, and but not the exact words. So it's not, you need to make it more consistent. But maybe sometimes it really needs to be done that way, but make it deliberate, those choices. Does it work, or does it maybe work better if you do it on more levels, that you really start paraphrasing people? Because I have here several options for true stories, true-based stories, and we all do it differently. I published one, and I really told my story more in the sense the way you started out your book, like by telling, and not by quoting people. But I have another woman who told her story of her grandparents, and she did it really as in conversations. And another lady as well, who told her life story. And others that do it, different. So there is this choice to make. And I'm looking up, when you need to start a new paragraph is also something. I did some. So No, I'm starting to wait. So I am said most important thing. I really hope, and since I needed to make this video to convey to you that God, wants you to share this story. So don't give up on yourself. Please, please, please make time to write your story, but do it properly. So first the foundation, then the translation. That's really a good way to work. And when you're done, please give me a call or, write me, but do it personally. Don't start doing it again. We can work things around, you need maybe translations. That's okay. We can do a video call. I'm now I'm now using Zoom, and we could be talking through Zoom the same way. And you could have someone at your side who could do the translations for you. That's no problem. That's why I made a recording, so you can pause it when needed to. Okay, what did she say now? What did she say now? Oh, yes, I understand. And if you don't understand something, please write. Yes? Keep in touch. Keep me informed. I'm curious about your story. But like I said, start working, start improving it. The way your story is now, you're selling yourself short. And you have come so far that you don't want to do that. You are too proud to do that. You have you have this purpose behind sharing your story. And if that you really want to live up to that purpose, you need to step up. It's not a difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. It's difficult, it's because it's emotional. Please step up. Show what you are, who you are, what made you become the person you are now today. And then keep me informed. Please.